A freak intense thunderstorm with winds of up to 70 miles per hour rips through Adams County this evening.
Yeah, certainly hope everybody out there is safe. Damage is so widespread that Quincy Mayor Kyle Moore declared a state of emergency for the city.
Here's the beginning of the supercell storm that blew into Quincy tonight and wreaked havoc. Look at that clear line of the storm rolling in. We are seeing trees down, power outages, and gas leaks throughout our viewing area.
Quincy residents are in disbelief after that storm with extreme straight line winds came through the area. And our own Dave Holder says that wind was between 70 and 80 miles per hour. Certainly can believe that.
The power is now back on, but some scary moments on the north side of Quincy yesterday afternoon that left a lot of folks without power. Crews arrived at North 22nd and Spruce at about 5:50 last night. Assistant Fire Chief Tom Bentley tells KHQA leaking oil on the transformer caused the fire to ignite at the substation. Crews had to take extra precautions to maintain their safety.
Strong winds crushed this traffic light at 33rd and Broadway in Quincy. It was still blinking red.
Right now you're looking at a shot taken from 5th and Main in Quincy across from Washington Park. A top-story balcony fell straight down to the sidewalk.
The driver of this Target semi was taken to the hospital with minor injuries after his truck tipped in those straight-line winds near Taylor, Missouri.
This is between Hampshire and Main Street, near between 5th and 6th, where bricks fell from this building into an alley. Those bricks fell in front of a restaurant, as you can see right there, and those winds really just caused that whole wall to collapse. Power lines, trees, gas lines, wires down. We start our team coverage tonight with KHQA's Jack Pluta live outside a home on South 4th and State.
Yeah, Ross, Raj, I've driven around Quincy all night, and by far this is the worst damage that I saw. We're at 513 South 4th Street, and as you can see, an enormous tree has fallen on this house, all but destroying the front end and even the back end. A homeowner says that she was at work, and that's when she got the call, totally distraught when she laid eyes on her house, what used to be her house. She was most worried about the cats that were in her house. She said she had a few cats. She was even trying to break the window to allow some air, as they thought they saw smoke and maybe even a little bit of fire in that house. I had a chance to talk with many residents in Quincy today who say that this is something that they've never seen before.
And to see all this is bananas, man. We was all up in the studio listening to music, getting ready to go. And boom, bow, it got dark. Now look at it. It was ridiculous and fast. Trees started coming into on Main Street, things were falling, the trash can behind us fell.
If you are the homeowner of this house, we do believe just a couple of minutes ago we did see your cats running by, so you might want to come and check that out.
You know, I actually went back to my house too to check on my cats, and I live, near downtown, and my goodness, I couldn't believe how much tree damage there was out there. That storm was so intense, and it picked up so quickly and actually started moving so fast too. Got up to about 60 miles per hour east, and you could see it right there at the beginning of the loop there of the radar. Just as it went over Quincy, moved very quickly to the east-southeast.
This is Ameren, Illinois' outage map throughout west central Illinois. Current outage numbers as of about 10 minutes ago. Adams County hit incredibly hard there, as you see on the left side of your screen. About 21,000 outages in Adams alone. Now the wind knocked out power, trees, and you see some of the more damage here that we haven't gotten to show you yet.
I've never seen trees lay completely on the ground. And we lost a 70-foot pine tree here on the side of the house. Fascia blew off. I saw road construction signs going down the street, and a little bit of everything going with it.
Cleaning is already underway at that business where those powerful winds blew right through the windows, shattering the glass. A showroom and a garage were damaged in that storm, and workers took to brooms to clean up the area outside of the showroom.
And you're looking at a tree uprooted across the street from Quincy High School. This is one of the more remarkable images we saw tonight. Now just further down the road, just past the intersection of 30th and Main, this tree partially blocked traffic. Water flowing like a river, a sight we're all used to seeing lately. Now several trees down between 36th and 48th Street in Quincy. Some completely uprooted, and some were just blocking the road. Just like the rest of Quincy, a lot of limbs and debris as well. Let's go to Emily Andrews on the phone with Adams County EMA. She is the Public Information Officer.
We know that there's over 21,000 connections without power tonight, and Ameren is still assessing the extent of the damage, so they don't really have an estimated time when the power will be turned back on.
Currently, I'm standing at Quincy University. I was at 17th and Chestnut, where police had roped off the intersection because of dangerous debris lying, and also the hanging tip of a utility pole in that intersection. We had to move back for safety precautions. And like I said, now on the campus of Quincy University, we want to make sure that you know that at 9:10 this evening, Quincy University did make the formal announcement that school and all programming and activity on campus tomorrow is canceled. Again, all activity on Quincy University campus is canceled for tomorrow.
This damage happened all across Adams County, stretching into Pike County, over to Cass, Morgan, and Scott County.
Even all the way to Morgan into Jacksonville.
Good morning, guys. For most people here in Quincy and in Adams County, this is what the area looks like. But once the sunrise, this is what they're going to see.
We are driving through Quincy right now. We just turned onto one of these side streets, and you can see all of the rubble and the damage from the trees that were knocked down due to yesterday's storm.
Last night's storm caused many sidewalks to do this as a result of having a tree attached, and then came down on a car right here outside of one resident's home. There are power lines going along the tree up at the top over there. Obviously, Ameren, they are out working. They've been working all night long.
Just the side of town that we're on right now, seems like nobody has any power, but just so many trees down side streets.
It completely brought the sidewalk up and just tipped over as we crossed the road quickly. We have even more damage now. Trees everywhere, in the roads, in the parks, just everywhere. Yesterday when I was on Main Street, you could see that trees were just covered across the street.
You can see we actually have to already turn around just as we started driving here. It's blocked off by the yellow tape. Trees are just covering the street.
This is just one area here in Quincy. We've been driving around all morning down side streets, back roads, residential neighborhoods, and this is what you see. Trees, branches, rubble, all of it.
Really unbelievable what Main Street looks like. Very dangerous.
This massive tree has just completely crossed over the road here on Lynn Street, and then it knocked over in front of that person's yard over there on top of their tree, and even along these power lines. Now, if you follow the power lines, you can even see up at the top over there, there is debris. You can see behind me that if you look up along the trees, branches just completely snapped off. That we are in a state of emergency right now.
What does it mean? You've declared a state of emergency. What do you need to tell people that means this morning?
Right now, we're working with not only crews from the city, crews from the Park District, and also private contractors.
Ameren crews have been working nonstop to restore power to Quincy residents. About 1,000 Ameren workers from in and out of town. All Quincy Park District facilities are now closed this Wednesday morning. This is due to the significant damage the parks experienced over from that storm. All of their programs and classes are canceled as well.
In the wake of Monday night's damage and power outages, County Market and the Croc Center are offering free meals to anyone in need.
And we got to keep this door shut because this cooler has to stay between 36 and 38 degrees.
The clock was ticking in fast for many restaurants as the power outages proved to be a major problem when it comes to preventing food from spoiling. Taco Bell at 38th and Broadway was one of several restaurants still without power yesterday. Owner Wayne Doria says that his staff had to move about 1,400 pounds of beef out of the cooler into extra storage space at the Taco Bell at 8th and Broadway.
The one thing always remains is just make sure the food stays at temperature so everybody's safe.
Well, the clock was ticking even faster at the McDonald's at 13th and Broadway, where this sign told customers it was closed as well. Store owner Greg Shireling says he had trouble calling in freezer truck companies to help store food as phone lines were down.
Today, everybody is breathing a sigh of relief as the majority of Quincy has regained power. Still debris, but a lot of cleanup has been in progress. As you see behind us, we still have this tree here that's on Lynn and 15th Street, the one that completely ripped up out of the sidewalk and just went all the way down over on the power cords. Now, of course, that is one of the main issues that we have. So we turn to Craig from Ameren. Can you tell us why is this such a dangerous job, and how long does the process take?
This is just one example of some of the complications we have when major storms roll through an area like Quincy with a lot of vegetation. You know, what we'll have to do in this situation is we'll bring line crews in. They'll have to make sure the line's de-energized, grounded, so the forestry crews can come in and safely remove it, and then we'll have to repair the poles and wire that were damaged because a tree came down.
And out on the roads in Quincy, Bonnet-Sigan Drive is closed this week from Cooks Lane to Cedar Street while crews burn and remove debris from July's windstorm. Cedar Street also is closed from 3rd Street to Bonnet-Sigan Drive. That burning is expected to take 4 to 5 days. Now, 2 other roads will close for asphalt repair this week in Quincy. Both Main Street between 14th and 18th Street, as well as 12th Street between Cherry Lane and St. Charles Drive, also will be closed tomorrow.
It's long and tiring, but we're getting through it.
Andrea Stolte's Taylor, Missouri home could not be saved from flood damage. So he's tearing it down, burning the ashes, and starting over again.
We're just going to put in a concrete floor with some drains. If the water gets up high, we can just go ahead and power wash it and be back in business in no time.
Stolte is one of many whose lives changed in an instant.
Came home from work and was told to pack what I could and started sandbagging.
Amanda Tournier was able to grab 1 month's worth of clothes for her and her daughter before flooding ruined her home at this North Fabius trailer park. Thankfully, Stolte and Tournier found help thanks to efforts from the local Red Cross and Salvation Army, which brought in multiple agencies to help families recover.
Families and individuals can come here, figure out what their needs are, and learn what resources are available.
Families also received essential items such as food, mosquito spray, and sunscreen while they wait to find a new home. Marion County Emergency Management Director John Hark says local agencies are doing all they can. He hopes to see more assistance from the federal government.
You know, it's kind of like federal government, you're going to have to wake up and realize that we got problems in Missouri. I mean, they talk about droughts in California and forest fires here and there. We got problems in Missouri.
For folks like Tournier, any help is good help.
You see it all the time on TV and you think, oh, that'll never happen to us. You know, we won't have that happen here. And then when it does happen and you just see the community, or the surrounding community come in and help you, it's just amazing.
Flooding on the Illinois River continues to devastate many tri-state communities with near record-setting flood levels. KHQA's Jack Pluta takes you to Valley City tonight, where the river is cresting right now.
Roger, we go from Meridosha right here in Valley City, where the Illinois River is doing much of the same, overflowing its banks. Take a look at what we saw this afternoon. This is at Highway 2 and County Highway 21 at the intersection. Obviously, for the foreseeable future, County Highway 21 will be closed for quite a while until the river drops. Right now, the river will crest about today and probably into tomorrow at 25.6 feet. Now, the record for cresting is 27 feet, so 2 feet below that all-time record that has been set. Now, I had a chance to speak with a couple gentlemen today who have ties to Valley City. This is what they saw today.
It's the highest I've ever seen it, no matter flood month or no. We were down here in '93 when that big flood was, and it wasn't this high then.
Holy moly, the tavern's underwater. It's really bad for everybody. They gotta move out in the cold weather and the ice and cold water. It's not good.
The Illinois River still doing damage in Valley City and will continue to do damage for quite a while. The river isn't expected to reach moderate flood stage, which is 21 feet, until January 12th. Reporting in Valley City, I'm Jack Pluta. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
2 people are now dead this morning in separate incidents. It was discovered that a vehicle had been driven into floodwaters on 190th Street north of Lewistown. The strong, swift current pulled the vehicle with 2 people inside into the creek. The driver, 33-year-old Leonette Phillips of LaBelle, was found dead downstream from where her vehicle was. Phillips was pronounced dead at noon by the Lewis County coroner. The vehicle passenger did survive.
The emergency crews responded to the call at the campsite around 3 o'clock yesterday morning. Once on scene, they found a tree had fallen on the RV. 25-year-old Andrew Irvin was pronounced dead.
Severe weather over the weekend led to this sinkhole here in the Ellington Township on Columbus Road, just west of 72nd Street. Now, as you can see, the road has completely collapsed into the river.
It took about 5 minutes to do all this damage.
Just 5 minutes. That's all the time Wednesday's storm needed to do this.
A semi was coming through and literally just laid it on its side and brought a big pole down behind us where we're standing. All the power lines that come up through all the towns here go through these power lines, so we're completely without power and will be for a while.
The overturned semi closed Highway 96 that runs through Lima. Drivers are asked to use an alternate route to get through town.
Right there, that's where it was.
And this was the scene in one backyard as winds knocked over this shed 20 feet from where it once stood. Lima residents say they didn't think the storm would hit as hard as it did.
I thought it was just going to be a normal storm, like showers and lightning as typical. It was scary. My daughter and everybody was like, "Mom, is there a tornado? Is there a tornado?" I'm like, "You'll be fine."
Stephen Brashears of the Lima Tioga Fire Department says the storm reminded him of the storm that hit Quincy in July.
It was shorter, but it had actually just a hair more power. To me, that's what it felt like to me. I was in my truck and I had things pelting me as if it was a tornado or something. You know, it was shorter, but it had the punch. It had the same amount of punch. I know because I was in both of them.
All day long, the community members have been driving by the 1100 block of North 5th Street to drop stuffed animals, crosses, and letters to the victim. Quincy police are still looking for the suspect, and Quincy Regional Crime Stoppers is offering a $1,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest.
We have had some names coming to us through our investigation.
Right now, police are not identifying a suspect or have any more information to share with the public. The victim is 12-year-old Rashawn Humphrey Jr. He was shot and killed early this morning. Friends say he went by Ray. Adams County Coroner Jim Keller tells KHQA Humphrey was taken to the emergency room at Blessing Hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly before 1:30 this morning. He was a 7th grader at Quincy Junior High. KHQA's Abigail James was on scene for most of the day. She now has reaction to this crime.
Does not appear to be a random incident. It wasn't a drive-by. It was not it does not appear that someone was, picked out just as a random victim.
So why is a 12-year-old boy dead? That's the question police in the community want to know.
I don't understand why someone would want to shoot and kill a little kid or even an older person.
Pauline Walker has lived in this neighborhood for 20-plus years. She says she doesn't feel safe in her own home anymore. Quincy Police Chief Rob Copley says Quincy is still a relatively safe town, but unfortunately, incidents like this do happen.
I really can't say what he was doing. I do want to point out he wasn't like on the street. He wasn't walking the street. He was coming from a residence when this happened.
The family did not want to speak on camera, but friends of the family did tell me what kind of a boy Ray was. They said he was a good kid. He was well-liked and involved in sports. The Quincy Public School District will have counselors on hand Monday for school.
We have organized a crisis center for the junior high. We are preparing the teachers so that they can work with students in their classrooms and to offer the listening and the support that they need as they go through the emotions that they will be dealing with.
Students in Quincy go on spring break on Thursday, but Carol Frerick says counselors will be available for as long as they're needed.
Our top story, a potential killer has been taken off the streets. Quincy police this afternoon announced that the arrest of Stefan CRIDER. He's been charged with first-degree murder in connection to the shooting death of 12-year-old Rashawn Humphrey Jr. Stefan CRIDER is currently in Arizona awaiting extradition. He's behind bars on a $5 million bond.
I am kneeling right beside the memorial of Rashawn Humphrey Jr., and this is where people have come to remember the 12-year-old boy by leaving candles, stuffed animals, balloons, crosses, and so forth. Now, I spoke with friends and family members today who told me they are not only breathing a sigh of relief, but also profusely thanking the Quincy Police Department and everyone who made these arrests possible.
It is a challenging case. It's not over. There's much work to be done, but again, I think our community owes a debt of gratitude to the Quincy Police Department for all the work they've done.
Antoine Lamont Hickman is the grandfather of shooting victim Rashawn Humphrey Jr.
I'm still hurt. I mean, very hurt. I just don't know what to do about it. I was going to come unglued, but God said to me, let justice do it, let the officials do it, and it will be served.
Important for the public to know all of the work that goes on behind the scenes in a case like this.
These names are no surprise. We have been hearing these names for weeks. Stefan and Stefan. The rumor mill has gone rampant.
Chief Rob Copley says warrants for the 4 people were issued last Thursday. He told media there won't be closure, in his mind at least, until the case is solved and everyone involved is sentenced.
And I want to emphasize, we're not done. We're still investigating. There may very well be more charges and more arrests made.
The jury has reached a verdict in the case of Sasan CRIDER, accused of killing a Quincy boy last March. KHQA's David Amilati spent the day in the courtroom and has that verdict. He joins us live from the Adams County Courthouse.
The jury has been in deliberation since 4:15, came back at about 5:44 is when everyone was back in the courtroom where the verdict was given. It was about 90 minutes where they were in deliberation, ultimately giving a verdict of guilty. Sasan CRIDER has been confirmed guilty of first-degree murder, the shooting death of Rayshon Humphrey Jr. that happened back on March 28th. When everyone entered back into the courtroom, it was a very tense but surprising atmosphere. No one anticipated being such a quick turnaround for the jury to decide of their verdict. There were 10 Adams County security men inside the courtroom. That's up from 8 before jury was released for deliberation. When the verdict came down, eyes closed from Sasan CRIDER in the courtroom, and you heard a slight yelp or a cry from Rayshon Humphrey Sr., the father of the 12-year-old boy who was killed, like I said, last March. I think a sense of relief, but it does not seem that it's true satisfaction. It's still a bittersweet result here in Adams County this evening. Now, as far as sentencing, that has been pushed to December 21st. That will be happening starting at 8 a.m. That will take all day. Originally, it was going to be just the morning, but on the suggestion of the defense, that will be an all-day event again on December 21st. There will be the sentencing hearing. Bond has been revoked for Sasan CRIDER. Again, Sasan CRIDER found guilty of first-degree murder tonight here in Adams County. Sasan CRIDER will serve 65 years in jail with no parole. The courtroom gallery was filled with people curious to learn the fate of 20-year-old Sasan CRIDER. The defense began this morning's hearing with an 11-count motion for a new trial to take place. All were denied. Among those in the courtroom was Ray Humphrey Sr., the victim's father. He read a statement in the courtroom forgiving CRIDER, but asking for the stiffest penalty from the court.
It's been a long 8 months and 24 days that we've been waiting for this day. I don't have to worry about someone, you know, or just myself wondering or my family wondering if we got the right guy. We now know we got the right guy.
The 65-year sentence Judge Adrian handed down CRIDER was suggested by Barnard. The Adams County State's Attorney says the justice system can provide only limited relief.
I personally and professionally feel that it is so important for everyone to understand this day is about the victim. We want to let them know we care, because we do. And hopefully the process proves that. Hopefully what we've done to fight our way through the process proves that.
Now moving forward, the cases of Julia CRIDER, Stefan CRIDER Jr., and Stefan CRIDER III are under evaluation, I should say. Under state law, new charges must be refiled a year from the date they were voluntarily dismissed. Barnard says his office will immediately decide on revisiting those charges. Breaking news out of Quincy's north side, where one man is dead and another man is injured following a shooting. Here's the video just taken a little less than 1 hour ago. Quincy police say it happened just after 8 o'clock tonight at 635 College Street. Right now, Quincy police are still looking for the alleged gunman. Family has confirmed to KHQA News tonight again that one man is dead, and new just within the last few minutes, a man is being taken into surgery at Quincy's Blessing Hospital.
An 18-year-old Quincy man is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder after a weekend shooting. Gavin Masters could face 45 to 85 years in jail, 3 years suspended mandatory release, and a $25,000 fine for each charge. 21-year-old Randy Bowser Smith died from that shooting at this home at 635 College. 21-year-old Skylar Osborne was severely hurt. Quincy police say the shooting resulted from a drug deal gone bad. Gavin Masters is in the Adams County Jail on $1 million bond. The parents of a Quincy teenager accused of shooting 2 men on July 4th want their voices heard. Tonight in this KHQA exclusive report, Gavin's parents, Dwayne Masters and Melissa Stratman, are concerned the public is only hearing the prosecution's side of the story in the media.
I just feel there's more to the story that needs to be put out there, and like I said, I feel this is a one-sided situation right now, and I just want this to be a fair trial. And I My hope is that he is found not guilty through all this.
We're following some developing news at this hour. Jurors have started deliberations in the murder trial of Gavin Masters.
Masters is charged with first-degree murder in the July 4th shooting death of Randy Bowser Smith in Quincy. More than 20 people have gathered outside the Adams County Courthouse for the verdict. That is happening right now. The courthouse doors have been locked, and we will continue to monitor the breaking news, and we'll have an update if there's any word of a verdict from the Adams County Courthouse on this newscast, and always on KHQA.com and social media.
An Adams County sentencing hearing for a Quincy man convicted of murder is set for Wednesday. Gavin Masters is scheduled to appear after being convicted of murder last month. 18-year-old Gavin Masters received a 115-year sentence this morning in Adams County. That includes 70 years for the murder of 21-year-old Randy Bowser Smith and 45 years for the attempted murder of 21-year-old Skylar Osborne.
Icy, chilling, bone-chilling cold. It struck me from the moment I first appeared in court when he was there. There was something real different about this guy.
Mr. Barnard and Ms. Keck had a duty to the victims, and they did a wonderful job making today about the family of Skylar Osborne and Randy Bowser Smith. That's what today was really about.
Quincy police say the shooting that happened in this alleyway was not random, but that does not make Joshua Will, who lives right around the corner from 8th and York, feel better about what happened in his neighborhood Tuesday morning.
I mean, I have a 2-year-old daughter. I mean, what happens when I'm taking my daughter out on the sidewalk to ride her bike and somebody comes around shooting? It's crazy.
Will has lived on Quincy's south side for most of his life. He says the city's recent shootings alarm him.
When we were younger, we used to fight. If we had a problem, we'd go outside and fight. But now people are pulling guns.
Tuesday's shooting has residents on edge and asking why.
You expect that out of places like Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, you know, California, New York, places like that. But Quincy, Illinois, no, you don't expect nothing like that. Whether it be black on black, black on white, white on black, white on white. I don't understand what the problems are. I don't know where they're coming at. I don't know if it's the younger generation that's out here trying to prove something to somebody.
Police say a man in his late teens was on the sidewalk, and that's when police say a gold-colored car drove up and fired, hitting the victim in the leg. Dean Austin was visiting this neighborhood. He heard the shooting and walked down to the victim to assess the situation.
I almost started crying. It just shook me up. I was shaking like a leaf. I don't like it. He was real calm, and he said, I've been shot, and I'm sitting there looking around. I didn't see no blood because his bullet was just stuck in his leg.
Police say the victim was taken to Blessing Hospital.
Do you know, is it gang related?
At this point, we don't know the motive, so time will tell.
Deputy Chief Doug Vandermaiden says police do not believe the shooting was random, but that information does not calm the nerves of neighbors and witnesses.
It's terrible. They need to do something down here. She's going to make her mom move, because there's going to be a stray bullet come through one of these houses one of these nights, and that ain't good.
I think we're placed in our society to where we need to put our beliefs back in God.
Rawls County Sheriff Gary Dinwiddie says all of his officers backed his decision for placing the sheriff's motto on patrol cars. The stickers were paid for by donations and soon will show on every Rawls County Sheriff's vehicle, a measure not every Rawls County resident is happy to see.
I don't think "In God We Trust" should be on a police car.
Lindsay McIntosh says her reasoning for removing the motto is simple.
Basically because I'm an atheist, and I don't think that atheists issues matter.
She questions the county's decision to back the motto without consulting Rawls County residents first.
The church and state should be separate. Like I said before, I'm an atheist, so that's just it.
Just trying to make trouble. I don't understand why people are doing this. I don't.
Cheryl Beer says she doesn't understand the debate.
We don't have to take it off just because you don't want it on there. It's part of our history, it's part of everything.
Sheriff Dinwiddie says in the end, it comes down to extra motivation he thinks his officers will receive to finish the job and come home safely.
He's the one out there at night, and if he gets out, stops a car in the middle of the night, who else is behind him besides our "In God We Trust" motto?
Welcome back. The special election for Illinois' 18th congressional district is just days away, 3 in fact. KHQA spoke with the 5 candidates to find out just how they envision on making up for lost time since the resignation of Aaron Schock.
Well, I've been putting a lot of miles on the car, meeting with a lot of people. I mean, that's the important part of the campaign. It's also the important part of serving the constituents. What I plan to do, if I'm lucky enough to win, is to use most of my office allotment to set up district offices, put staff in the district, so that we can really get out to the people, the voters, find out the issues they need worked on right away and get started right away.
For me, what I've done then is become as open and honest and as comprehensive as I possibly can on a myriad of issues. I'm the only one that introduced a jobs plan. It's a 10-point jobs plan, and you can go to my website and check it out. I also introduced a veterans plan, a 10-point veterans plan, and now today I'm going to introduce an education plan to help our students and our teachers, give them the resources that they need to succeed. So I think that gives me a leg up because I already have some things I want to accomplish.
Well, I think you got to hit the ground running, and that's part of what we've been doing over the last 12 weeks. You got to hit the ground running. You got to always remember you work for the taxpayers and you work for the people in this district. You have to stay grounded. I've also talked about having continually town hall meetings, teletown hall meetings, talking to the people. I think there's a real disconnect between politicians in Washington, D.C. and the people that they represent, and I hope to bridge that gap.
Newly elected Congressman Darren LaHood visited the Illinois 18th District this week. Lawmaker met with members of the Great River Economic Development Foundation. Their conversation focused on the economy and infrastructure. After he was elected last month, LaHood said his biggest accomplishment was being sworn in with his family. Now, 5 weeks into his office, he says the biggest surprise was to be in the same room as the Pope.
The 435 representatives in there, 100 senators, the president's cabinet, the Supreme Court. And when you watched him walk in, I think his entrance was, really amazing. It really transcended politics. He talked a lot about the importance of family, the importance of life, the importance of looking out for the less fortunate. I thought it was a great message.
Quincy Mayor Kyle Moore comments on 100 Cape Air vouchers the city bought last year to qualify for $1 million in federal funding.
The city gave away those 100 tickets to 7 organizations for free, ranging from local media to travel agencies. The Quincy City Council unanimously approved those purchases as part of a $15,000 marketing package.
How was it decided where those tickets went?
That was, if you remember from the memo, we said we were going to give it to our marketing partners, and so we gave it to media that have helped out. Also, a few travel agents that have helped with it, and how they gave those out was up to their discretion.
Now, KHQA checked that memo that Mayor Moore is referring to and did not find any mention of marketing partners on that proposal. The memo merely stated that the tickets would be used to incentivize the community support in the form of giveaways.
New today, approximately 60 people will lose their jobs at Quincy's Titan Wheel facility.
Abigail James joins us live at Titan International, explains why the need for the cuts.
Yes, Raja, Titan International employs 6,500 employees worldwide. Here at the Quincy location, the plant will be at the lower end of the typical employment range due to the status of end markets. General Manager Hathaway says the layoffs have nothing to do with the possible incorporation of Titan International in Delaware versus Illinois. Reporting live at Titan Wheel, I'm Abigail James with KHQA News.
The new location for the medical marijuana dispensary will be in the plaza of 4440 on Broadway. Now, earlier today, I spoke with Herbal Remedies LLC, and they say they're happy to finally have a location to call home.
It's been kind of stressful not knowing exactly where we're going to be.
Herbal Remedies LLC dispensary manager Andy Schnock was worried Quincy's first medical marijuana dispensary would never have a location. About a month ago, Herbal Remedies LLC decided to have the medical marijuana dispensary at 48th and Broadway, but ran into a few obstacles.
We've had several dilemmas out there that we worked our way through, and ultimately we've ended up now at 4440 Broadway on the end of the strip mall.
Herbal Remedies LLC CEO Bob Lansing says the new location at 4440 on Broadway will speed up the construction process on the dispensary.
It'll shorten the construction period significantly because we don't have to do the superstructure. The superstructure is in place.
Schnock says having the dispensary is not only huge for the city of Quincy, but other areas as well.
I tell people all the time, it's like Microsoft in the 80s. Nobody really knows too much about it or where it's going, but it's going to be a big thing. It's going to be huge, not just locally, not just nationwide, but worldwide.
He says the dispensary aims to help patients who are in desperate need of medicating a specific disease.
You can get a strain that's catered toward your specific needs instead of just buying a generic strain off the street that might help you, it might not help you, it might make you more sick. So this dispensary just enables patients better access to safer medicine.
Schnock says the medical marijuana dispensary will continue to tackle any challenges they may face going forward.
It's tough to say what those challenges are going to be, but I think as a team we're all prepared and we're ready for any concerns or questions that people might have.
Herbal Remedies LLC say they anticipate being open the middle of June, but expects the actual product to be available in the fall.
It just kind of all of a sudden happened. They just got a letter in the mail saying there's a hog confinement going in, and everybody's like, what?
6 months ago, Kimberly Krupmeyer and her husband bought this house right outside of Clayton. 1 month later, she learned the house she planned on raising her kids in might not be the family's permanent home. Krupmeyer realized a hog confinement would be built just a half-mile away.
I grew up around pigs, and I know what they smell like, but 20,000 hogs and piglets and stuff, I'm like, it's a lot, and I know what the smell's going to be, and most of our wind direction comes out of the east, southeast, and that's where it's going to be coming from.
Professional Swine Management LLC out of Carthage, Illinois is working with Falcon Ridge Farms to build the confinement. It would house close to 20,000 hogs and employ 18 to 22 full-time employees. With the approval of the Adams County Board, the Illinois Department of Agriculture approved an intent to construct on August 31st. That didn't sit well with some Clayton residents.
Right now our town has no way to grow, but would you, as a citizen living in town, would you want a hog confinement? I mean, it just makes no sense because of the odor.
Clayton resident Sam DeMoss says the confinement would depreciate his property value. He also thinks it would ruin town roads due to the extra amount of semi-traffic using those roads. DeMoss also says a zoning ordinance should prohibit the confinement from going up in that area. To fight back, he and other residents requested the help of Eric Sterling. Sterling is a research assistant for the Illinois Citizens for Clean Air and Water.
The village of Clayton has zoning that extends out 1.5 miles from town. And actually they have what they call A2 zoning, which is Conservation and Recreation District zoning. And this facility actually straddles the A1 and the A2 zoning. And my understanding is that they need to be at least 1,000 feet from the A2 zoning.
As you can see from this map given to Sterling and DeMoss by the village's legal representative, this is the area where the confinement would be built. As DeMoss mentioned, the proposed facility would go up in the area marked A2, a conservation and recreation zoning area that prohibits the construction of a confinement facility. Professional Swine Management representative Ted Ufkes declined an on-camera interview. But in a written statement, he says his company has worked closely with the village and its legal counsel to ensure the project does not violate local zoning ordinances. He says a small portion of Falcon Ridge may reside in the area zoned as agriculture, which includes provisions for raising livestock. He also says Falcon Ridge Farms does not violate any zoning ordinances currently in place by the village of Clayton.
They have a thermometer, but this one's broken.
They've got a lot of spill going on down here.
Within minutes of walking inside the kitchen of the Pier restaurant in Quincy, Adams County Health Inspector Tony Dede was already taking note of some concerning issues.
There's a lot of debris on the bottom side of that slicer.
Our cameras were rolling during Dede's impromptu inspection as he looked over a 45-item checklist from making sure food is kept at the proper temperature.
We're at 40.5, so that's good.
To asking an employee to throw out syrup that should have been refrigerated. Dede scours every nook and cranny of the restaurant 2 times a year. It's a detailed inspection that not only aims to point out problems.
I was washing my hands here. They have soap, but they don't have a paper towel available at this sink, so I'll have a discussion with them about that.
But more importantly, teach restaurant employees how to fix them.
I want to show you something, okay? So take a look on the bottom side there. These hidden areas under here are the areas that we need to pay attention better to.
It's a grueling 2-hour-long process Pier owner Richard Cole says he takes very seriously because cutting corners isn't worth the price it could cost his customers.
They're here to help correct and keep everybody safe, and that's their job, and they do a great job at it. And that's our job to make sure that we don't get anybody
sick.
With a score of 93 out of 100 on its last inspection, Didi says getting people sick isn't an immediate concern he has with the pier, as he's seen a lot worse from other restaurants in his 20 years on the job.
They'd left food out overnight on the countertop, and they'd shut off the heat at night to try to save money. Of course, we're going to see roaches, we're going to see mice over time.
So what types of scores are other local restaurants really cooking up? According to the Adams County Health Department's website, the Abbey came in with an 84 out of 100 after being slapped with 2 critical violations and 4 minor violations. Part of the deductions came after inspectors found raw meat stored next to a bag of onions, employees handling food with their bare hands, and the soda holders at the bar covered with food debris. The Coach House received an 81 out of 100 after inspectors found 3 critical and 4 minor violations. The report shows deductions came after inspectors witnessed raw ground beef stored above pork in the cooler and bleach stored with breakfast syrups. One of the lowest scores came from Best Buffet that logged a 77 out of 100 with 4 critical and 3 minor violations after health inspectors discovered the dishwashing machine wasn't sanitizing properly, over-the-counter medicine was stored with food, and cans of WD-40 were stored next to the slicer.
If they end up with a score of 80 or below, we'll do a 2-week recheck, make sure that they're getting everything in line. If they're getting the scores of below 70, we're going to say, we're coming back tomorrow.
Whether it's saving on money or skimping on sanitation, Didi warns the writing on the wall may not always be a good indicator of what a restaurant is really cooking up behind closed doors.
I'm leery of scores as an inspector because the scores aren't as representative as what's written on the report.
From prep to your plate.
Enjoy your lunch.
Both Cole and Didi agree it's not about the score, but rather the elbow grease that goes into keeping you from dining dirty.
Our goal is to make the facility a safer place, or as safe as they possibly can be. Our number one goal is to be an educator and a consultant. So we want to teach the facilities how to do their job better and safer.
You just do the best you can and get it up there as high as you can, because that means you're doing your job. Like I said, there's always something wrong. Nobody ever does everything perfect.
I see the same people every day, a lot going from Hannibal to Quincy, going to work.
You've probably seen Trooper Brad Williams with the Illinois State Police enforcing the law from start to finish on Interstate 172.
From the Hannibal interchange up to US 24, so it's about an 18-mile stretch. The speed limit is 70.
Williams says he does his best to make sure drivers are obeying the speed limit.
Speeding is one of our top priorities with the state police.
And when drivers decide not to, that's when they could put others on the road at risk.
The guys working on the interstate, the guys working underneath of it. You got mowers out here going right now. It's summertime, there's more travelers, there's more vacationers.
No matter how many people are on the road, Williams is determined to catch those who are flooring it at a high rate of speed.
Laser gun that can pinpoint each car if it's very high traffic volume, and I can get them almost a mile away.
You'd be surprised to find out how fast people drive on this road. Williams says he's seen drivers going well over the 70 miles per hour speed limit. He says just a few weeks ago he saw one driver flooring it at 110 miles per hour. He says there's only one way to help drivers ease off the pedal and slow down.
Police presence, right? We're out here being visible. Everybody sees us out here near the work zone or wherever we may be.
Williams has a little advice for people heading out for summer vacation.
I'm probably going to see you before you see me and get your speed.
Michael Pilarchi, KHQA News, Quincy.
Doing this, I really have seen another side of leadership.
Zach Harbin, like other aspiring Eagle Scouts across the country, has to complete a project for his community before his 18th birthday. Mission accomplished.
For this one, we tested out the use of these knobs and see if they would work.
He built 5 bookshelves for Quinata, Quincy Medical Group Pediatric Center, Indian Hills Community Center, and the Madonna House.
I had a little bit of experience, building like the birdhouses, the simple birdhouses. But when it came to these bookcases, I just looked up some plans, blueprints online, and I asked my grandfather, who is really knowledgeable in this kind of stuff, for help, and he was more than willing to help.
But his hard work and perseverance paid off. He's already delivered 3 of these bookshelves so far. He also collected 5,700 books for those organizations.
I've been portrayed or viewed as a good leader within Boy Scouts, but I've learned that it takes a lot more than what it says on paper. I'm used to hands-on stuff, and from doing this, it's really all paperwork and not as what I'm used to. I've also learned a lot of time management.
Well, new tonight at 10, we are learning more about an Iowa inmate who escaped from the Fort Madison prison over the weekend and later was caught in Illinois. According to the Iowa Department of Corrections, inmate Justin Kestner was missing early yesterday morning. They say Kestner made his way through a vent to the roof and used bed sheets to make his way down to an unfenced area. One business owner says she doesn't mind being steps away from the prison.
Wasn't worried that day at all.
Jean Lang is the owner of Putter Round in Fort Madison. She manages to operate an ice cream parlor, miniature golf course, and batting cages just steps away from the Fort Madison prison. Lang says her store can't provide the necessities an inmate on the run would need.
They're not going to stop at a miniature golf course or ice cream. You know, they're going to try to get as far away as possible.
Being so close to the prison could also have its advantages in these situations.
Guard in the tower came up, told me what was going on, you know, said he was there kind of watching over our place too, because I have teenagers that work there.
Not only are local businesses at risk of an inmate on the run, but neighborhoods across the street as well.
The prison's just right there.
Bernard Polmere's brother and sister-in-law live down the road from the prison.
She really wasn't concerned, and my brother wasn't concerned.
He says there wasn't too much to worry about when the inmate escaped prison walls. Polmere says it's a rare occasion that an inmate would attack nearby homes.
Well, they trust the law around here, and yeah, guys break out, but there's been very few instances where they break out and hurt somebody.
And in Quincy, 2 more deaths confirmed at the Illinois Veterans Home because of Legionnaire's disease and underlying health problems. That brings the total deaths to 11. The 2 individuals who passed had previously tested positive for that disease. Public health and home staff have taken steps to sanitize the water system at the home. That includes the cooling tower and water tanks. Test results for environmental and water samples are pending.
2 women murdered, no one convicted. That was the case in Quincy in the 1960s. Now, tonight's Unsolved Mystery shows you how a U.S. Supreme Court ruling left 2 Quincy murder cases without a killer behind bars. 22-year-old Judith Greening roomed with 21-year-old Danetta Pickens in a South 12th Street apartment in 1966.
One night in March, they came up missing. The next day, on March 22nd, they both did not show up for work. Very unusual because they were always at work and always on time.
Lieutenant Dina Dreyer with the Quincy Police Department says a man was walking here on South 24th Street, south of the Sheridan Swim Club, when he spotted Greening's body here in a ditch.
She had 51 stab wounds, and she had been shot with a shotgun.
Several hours later, an off-duty police officer noticed Pickens' vehicle here at 18th Street and Grove Avenue. Her body was in the trunk. She had 15 stab wounds and also had been shot.
For the first time in my life, I felt unsafe in my own home.
Verda Hadasek and Lois Olivas are Greening's first cousins. Their Northeast Missouri family was shocked, devastated, and frightened.
It was like, who did this and why? And do they know us? Are they coming after us too?
Authorities interviewed hundreds of people, and the investigation led them to this man, 18-year-old Ronald McCleary, who later changed his name to Ronald Glass. He lived just 2 doors down from the victims. His fingerprint was found inside some blood in Pickens' vehicle. The blood matched that of Greening. McCleary Glass made 2 incriminating statements, once when he was arrested and once to an undercover officer placed in jail with him. Those statements, however, were not usable in court.
It was Miranda versus Arizona. That was argued February 28th through March 1st of 1966, and that basically just gave people the right to have an attorney before they spoke to officers or anyone in the law enforcement field.
The Supreme Court decision forbade McCleary Glass's statements from being used in court since his Miranda rights were not read to him before he made those statements. A jury found him not guilty. The Adams County State's attorney at the time decided not to try McCleary Glass for Pickens' murder because of the same problems with that case.
They felt like they had the right individual in this case. They just were not able to prosecute him.
But the victims' families do not want people to remember their loved ones by how they died.
Judith was a wonderful person. I mean, really, she was. She was the apple of her mom and dad's eyes. Judy grew up in Monroe City, and there's no one in Monroe City that did not know her or did not love her.
The whole community grieved for her, and the whole community pulled together and really supported the family.
Judith Greening's mother, Loretta, passed away in 2013 at the age of 92. Looking back, Berta and Lois are in awe of how Loretta and Judith's father handled their grief. The family offers hope to other families who've lost loved ones to crime and other tragedies. Now, this wasn't McCleary Glass's last run-in with the law. He was arrested for incest in 1979 and unlawful possession of a firearm in 1984. He served time in prison for both. He was arrested in the murder of another woman from Decatur, Illinois in 1989. She had been stabbed several times and also was found in the trunk of her car. He ultimately died in the Menard Correctional Facility in 2005.
The Ames family's life in one shape or another has been influenced by sports. Brant is a sophomore at Cole College on the baseball team. Casey, a junior at Keokuk, plays both softball and basketball. Their dad, Wes, has coached the Chiefs baseball team for 6 seasons. His wife, Tammy, and mother to Brant and Casey, has always been their biggest supporter.
We just live for all of our kids' activities, and we don't like to miss. We go to everything that they're in. And it's just, it's kind of a calming thing for me. I love it.
After one of Casey's first softball games of the year, the family's life would change.
I found a lump. And so right away it's like, really? Did I get bit by something at the game?
Tammy had breast cancer, 2 words that made time stand still.
You know people that go through it. You hear about people that go through it.
She's been through a lot, and for me to see her stay positive like that and to never give up, and some things she's been through is just amazing.
In a game against Mediapolis this summer, Keokuk hosted a fundraiser in support of breast cancer. All the community members, friends, and family all wore pink in honor of Tammy Ames. In what was already a special night, the bases were loaded, and Casey Ames stepped to the plate.
It was almost like a movie.
Casey hit a grand slam to end the game on a 14-0 mercy rule.
Did this really happen? But I knew once she hit the ball, it was gone.
My entire family took up over half the bleachers, so I was really nervous to play, but when I was up to bat, I do remember going up to bat, I was like, oh, how cool would it be if it were to happen? And then when I hit it, I didn't even realize it was over the fence until I was like to second base. And it was like the best feeling ever. I was so happy.
I had a guy walk up here from Mediapolis and walked up to me and said, I just realized who you were. A friend of mine said who you were. And what a night for that to happen. I wouldn't care if you beat us 100-0. I let her hit a walk-off home run. I'll never forget that guy. I don't know who the guy is, but he walked up and made that comment that what an ending to a great night.
I remember my mom and dad like giving me big hugs, and they were just overwhelmed and so happy. And my mom took my ball instantly, and she was screaming and so excited.
A night to strike out cancer ended in a hit out of the park for the Ames family and a community showing support for one special woman.
I live for my kids and my family. My planner's full, and I got to get through this and start healing and just move on.
Brooke Miller's talent lives in the grasp of her hands.
Team sports like softball, you rely on your teammates and you pick each other up. Archery, it's all by yourself unless you're shooting a team round.
But her power comes from within.
It's a cool sport to do. It's really fun. You just have to have a lot of concentration.
Brooke's been involved with archery since she was young. Now the Highland sophomore has been anything but off target, taking home 3rd at the USA Archery Outdoor National Championships.
Decatur, Alabama was a really fun time because that shoot you meet all your friends again because it's all USA people.
With that finish, she's guaranteed a return trip next year with the 2016 national team.
You can get better. I mean, there's still a lot of room for improvement.
Improve she did, just returning home from winning a bronze medal at the European Youth Cup in Rome, Italy, representing the United States.
It felt awesome. I mean, nothing felt better than being up there on the podium and just knowing you won for USA and won for yourself and could bring the medals home to show everyone and be like, look what I did in Rome.
That performance helped Team USA to a silver medal, an experience she will never forget.
The competition was crazy. They had the top people from every country almost come and shoot. There was a lot of competition there. Everyone spoke different languages and stuff, so it was interesting, but it was cool.
With more tournaments on the schedule this year, Brooks said she'll get to as many as she can, gearing up for what could be the ultimate goal in 2016.
I would love to start shooting as a pro. I think that would be really nice to do, just to see where you would stand up against them, because I'm shooting against my age kids now, but I think next year I'm going to start entering in the pro division and see how that stands.